everyone, welcome to Scott Reviews Things in 4.5 minutes. What am I reviewing today? I'm reviewing the 1987 Eddie Murphy concert film, Raw. This was his follow-up of Delirious. If you're around my age, I'm 50, if you're around my age, when you had HBO, Delirious was a staple. Delirious was something that you watched, and Delirious was something that you'd repeat to your friends in school the next day. Well, this is his follow-up to Delirious. This was after Eddie Murphy had made a couple of movies. He was a big movie star at the time, 1987, so this was probably around the height of Eddie Murphy's career. This was also the height of quote-unquote dirty comedy. This is when Sam Kinison was big. This is when Andrew Dice Clay was getting big. This is when Eddie Murphy was big. So it was the height of inappropriate comedy. I would say it was the height of inappropriate comedy that we would feel is inappropriate today. At the time, I'm not saying it's right, I'm not saying it's wrong, I'm just saying at the time when this movie came out, these jokes were acceptable and these jokes were laughed at. Does it hold up today? No. Certain jokes, a lot of the jokes, most of the jokes, this movie is very, very homophobic. It has a lot of homophobic humor. It has a lot of racial humor. It has a lot of misogynistic humor. If a millennial watched this, their head would explode, basically. Once again, I'm not saying it's not right. I'm not saying it's wrong. I just say that we have to watch and we just have to learn how comedy was in certain times in our history. In the 80s, this was acceptable and this was funny. We grew out of that. As a society, we grew out of that, but this is a nice time frame. This is a nice time capsule of how things were at that time in comedy history. The movie itself it's a very well-made movie. It's a very well-made concert movie. It's directed by Robert Townsend. He was also a comedian from the 80s. And it shows what a master storyteller Eddie Murphy is. We always think, I know we think of Bill Cosby as a storyteller and we think of Richard Pryor as a storyteller, but Eddie Murphy he's up there. Whatever you think of Bill Cosby, what he has done, that's irrelevant. As a comedy storyteller, he was at the top, and so was Richard Pryor, and so is Eddie Murphy. They're all three brilliant storytellers. They do bits that go on for 3, 4, 5 minutes. Eddie Murphy's final bit goes on for like 7 minutes. It's like a 7-minute bit that he closes his show with. And I just think that's amazing. I just think the fact that if you can get up and you can tell a story, and it's not, some people tell a story where it's not funny all the way through. This, and they end with a big punchline. This is different. What he tells his stories has jokes all the way through the 7-minute bit. And it's a masterclass to watch. If you are a comedian, if you're not a comedian, if you ignore the material, if the material offends you, but if you can ignore the material and just see how he does it, it's brilliant. It's brilliant how he does it. He's also a great impressionist, and he's also a great mimic. He does dead-on impressions of Richard Pryor, of Bill Cosby, and he does mimics of Italians and of little children and of the stereotypical black man. I could see why he was such a great fit in Saturday Night Live, and I don't think we saw enough of that in Saturday Night Live, of him being able to jump into these characters. And we saw that more with when he did the movie, the Nutty Professor or Orbit, or all those movies where he did multiple characters. You can see the beginning of this in this movie.